playing with your kids, you know it's good for them, and you're told that it helps create a strong connection, and yet you just don't feel it. Instead, play feels annoying. I'm curious if it feels that way because it doesn't feel productive. That's what we're going to talk about today is the 5 ingredients that you need whenever you play with your kid for it to actually build connection and not just be good for your kids, but for it to be good for you too. If this is something you want to get better at, I have an entire module where we deep dive into play and connection in my Purpose Parent Transformation Program. If you'd like to learn more, all you need to do is go to www.raisingkidswithpurpose.com. And better yet, go to raisingkidswithpurpose.com/chat and we can talk to see if it's a good fit. I can't wait to dive into these 5 ingredients on how to be a more playful parent that brings you closer to your kid, which usually means then they listen better. I'm in my living room playing some kind of superhero game with my youngest son, and he's shooting me and I'm dodging the bullets, and then he's tackling me. I'm not liking it very much. It kind of hurts. And I'm just pretending my way through it. Literally and figuratively, I guess we were pretend playing, but then I was pretending that I was enjoying it when I actually wasn't enjoying it at all because I didn't want to have to be a superhero. That is not something that I'm interested in. It's not something that I really like, but I'm doing it. I even went and got a cape. I was flying through the air into our big, massive beanbag. He jumps on top of me, and then we get done. And I kind of feel, to be honest, like garbage. I just don't feel good. I'm like, okay, I'm supposed to be playing with my kids. I know play is really good. The research tells us that play is so important for our kids' development, it's their language, all the things that I've been talking about on the podcast. I will link to other episodes where I go into the research and the science behind play. However, just doing it to do it isn't really reaping all of the benefits that it can have. And this might be you. You might play or be playful because you know you're supposed to, but then it just doesn't feel right. And it might feel like it's one more thing you have to do on your list. What we're going to talk about today is the 5 ingredients to take that play, whether it is playing pretend in your living room or it is being playful to get your kids to eat or get in the car, get their shoes on. We're going to learn how to not only play, but also make it count. Get all that fruit from play and how we were created to connect with each other. And as everything that I talk about, it's how we can best connect with our kids. Okay, the first one is full presence. This one is so hard. We have a billion distractions all of the time. If we are shopping together, it might be really hard to become playful because you have all of these advertisements and lights and sounds and things that we want to buy. And we don't think to be playful because all of the distractions keep us from being present. When we're in our homes, the number one distractor is this guy. If you're watching this on YouTube, I'm holding up my cell phone. This thing can hold my attention like nothing else. I can start scrolling, and next thing I know, 17, 18 minutes have passed, and my kid is talking, needing my attention, and I haven't heard a thing that he has said. Full presence. What is that about? That is having eye contact. That is being aware of how your body feels in that moment. What I will do is I'm trying to be playful with my kid so that we can connect and have a better relationship. I will physically feel my feet on the ground. I'm doing it right now. I don't have any shoes, socks, flip-flops on. I'm just feeling I have laminate wood floors in here. And I'm feeling that the temperature. feeling the texture. It has some texture in the wood. It's trying to pretend like it's wood. And just that's a really, really great tip to bring yourself into awareness. Just pay attention to what you're smelling, what you're seeing. And I love this visualization of laser beams right on to your child. Anything else can be going on. Like I said, all the flashing lights, colors, sounds, our cell phones sitting on the table. We are zoned in on our child in that moment while we're playing. The second ingredient to use play in order to create a stronger bond with your kids, which is incredibly important, especially if you want to enjoy parenting, is flexibility. Go with the flow, follow their lead. I've talked about this in past episodes. One time, my son slammed his face up against the back window door that we have a door that's a full window. And instead of getting upset that he was making it dirty, I joined him. He thought it was hilarious. We had a couple minutes of connection. I was fully present, like I talked about in the first ingredient. And I followed his lead. I was flexible with the playing superheroes. I was going along with it, but there was a part of me that wanted to do it my way, or I had some thoughts about how I don't care about superheroes and that's really not something I'm interested in. So that was preventing me from being able to use play as connection. What I should have done is just followed his lead. I started there. He'd shoot me. I'd pretend to fall, but just keep following his lead so I don't feel like I'm the one that has to come up with what to do. Also, is as parents, we are really quick to shut our kids' ideas down. Kind of what I was just saying, because I have my own thoughts and beliefs about that kind of play that was interfering with my ability to be able to connect with him. We need to recognize and reflect on, why am I shutting this down? Is it just to have control, which a lot of times it is, especially if we were children that did not get a whole lot of autonomy or control. We can break those generational cycles and help give our kids autonomy so that they're not needing to control their little people whenever they become parents. And so that could be part of it. Or maybe get curious about just your own behaviors. Why am I shutting this down? Why am I not letting him play in the sink with a bunch of water? Oh, he's going to make a mess. It's water. I mean, if it's going to damage something, maybe I won't let him do it. But if it's not going to, we can just clean it up and turn that into play and another moment for connection. We can take our everyday moments of life of having to be a human, cooking, cleaning, taking care of all the things, make it playful and make it more fun. We have to do it anyways. Isn't it more joyful when we can insert a little bit of play in there? The third ingredient is curiosity, which I kind of already said, is instead of thinking you are the one with all the answers because you're the adult. Again, that might have been a paradigm that you grew up with, that the adult is all knowing, all powerful, the one with all the answers, and the child essentially is lesser than. This is called adultism. If you grew up with that paradigm, you might have to kind of stop, reflect, get curious, and go, okay, I don't have to be the one with all the answers. I'm not greater than because I'm bigger and older and have lived on this planet for longer. That's something that I invite you to explore and decide if you want to shift that belief system. And for me, it has been so freeing because there's just all this extra pressure and responsibility put on my shoulders when I feel like I'm the one that has to have all the answers all the time. What we can do is shift it to, instead of I have the answer, shift it to I wonder. Curiosity also opens the gateway to be more playful when it comes to challenging behaviors. When I tell parents that we're going to be playful to discipline, they look at me like I'm crazy because they believe that kids need you to have a stern voice. You need to follow the rules. We need to have these consequences and punishments because that's the only way they're going to learn. Science tells us otherwise. Play is the number one way to create new neural connections in their brain. New neural connections gives them more skills, and the reason why they're misbehaving in the beginning is because they don't have skills. Do you see how play really is the answer? And when we're curious, instead of just wanting to fix whatever's happening or get our kid to stop crying or whining or doing things that we don't want them to, we can get curious about it. Wonder works in two ways in this instance. We can get curious and think to ourselves, I wonder why they are doing this. I wonder why my kid cannot sit still at the dinner table. It could be because my child was only 4 when I was thinking this, and he has ADHD, and it's really, really challenging to sit on a hard, high chair and sit for that long to eat his food. So I start with, I wonder about what's going on, but then we can use that with our kids too. I wonder if you can be like I don't know, a sloth that just sits on the chair and moves very slowly while we eat our food. And guess what? I bet that will keep their butt on the chair for a little bit longer. We can use I wonder statements with what's going on here. I wonder what I can do to insert play here. And then we can also speak that out loud to our kids and use I wonder statements to help them learn the skill that we want them to while doing it through play. The shift from knowing and being the all powerful leader, or not even leader, I feel like what I'm talking about is becoming more leadership, is the dictator, the controller, the one with all the power, the one with all the knowing. When we shift from that to wondering and having curiosity, what we do is we open up space for your kids to be the expert about their own experience, which is what we want. Because even though we wish our kids, I mean, for some of us, wish our kids were our little children for their whole lives, they're not. They are their own person, are their own people, own person, and they are going to become adults that need to figure things out. When they're a child, this is the perfect time for practice. And the best way, I keep saying this, to learn these skills that they need to in order to become a rock star adult is through practicing it through play as a kid. Curiosity also means being genuinely interested in your kids' ideas, even when they seem super wild or super impractical. Maybe they come in the house and are like, we want to paint the dog instead of, no, we cannot paint the dog. I mean, that might still be the boundary and the limit. Tell me more about this. I'm curious. I'm wondering why you want to paint the dog. What can we do instead? And then you can build onto their fun ideas and create an opportunity for connection. The fourth ingredient to use play in order to be able to create a stronger bond with your kids is acceptance. Radical acceptance. This is big. This is accepting the mess. Your kids may want to explore with glitter and glue, markers. I'm describing my house except for the glitter. Praise the Lord, we don't have glitter in our house. I think we have at one point. We have those glitter pens now. I can at least keep all the glitter consolidated. I have a son who is always drawing, creating, making things, and I jump right in with him. I use that as a way to connect with him. I get curious about what he's creating. He gets super excited to show us and wants to build on his techniques. If I did not accept the mess that comes along with the creativity, then he would be missing out on just so many important things for him to do to use his mind in ways that are going to impact him in so many areas of his life. Being creative isn't just about being creative in that moment, but it's building skills that he can use at school, he can use for a future job, he can use in relationships and friendships, and so on. And also acceptance of your child being your child and who they are. There might be times where you are starting to learn that your kids require more need or have more needs than the neurotypical child, like my kids. And I've had to radically accept that traditional ways of parenting, having consequences, telling my kid like what to do, I've had to accept that I just can't parent that way with this one particular child. And I'm accepting him for all of his quirkiness, all of his creativity, the way he views the world, because it's extremely different than the way I do. What that has done, has allowed me to build a really strong relationship. And again, we can be playful and have fun together. Also, remember that you can apply this acceptance to when you are playing. It doesn't have to be perfect. Every imperfect moment counts too. The fifth ingredient and the final ingredient is joy. Joy is a choice. It's not just something that happens. We have to choose joy. I'm pretty sure that's a t-shirt, or I probably have it on a sticker on one of my water bottles. We can choose joy, or we can choose frustration. And yes, there are going to be things that happen that just automatically, reactively, we go right down the ladder to being frustrated, being upset, being angry. It's usually connected to something that has happened. And we can stop that right in its tracks and say, I'm going to choose joy. I'm going to choose play. For some people, that's really incredibly hard, especially if you've been stuck in a survival state or in burnout for a really long time. Your nervous system, as I talked about in the last episode, might feel like play is a threat. The research is so clear, though, we can use play to get out of those states. It requires intentionality. And like I'm saying, it requires choice. I am going to choose to do this differently. And that might be let all of whatever comes out come out. That is the typical pattern. Maybe that's screaming, yelling, needing to be in control, pausing, bringing you back to the first ingredient, presence. Put your feet on your floor. Just feel your body where you are in that place. Slow everything down, soften wherever it feels in your body. And you can simply say, I am choosing joy. We talk about triggers all the time, but there's also something in the positive psychology world called glimmers. And I have been working with a family that I encourage them to start writing down all of the things that are going well, because they have just had one diagnosis after another, and they just have so much going on, and they were getting pulled back into survival mode, and really is really, really hard for them to see all the growth that they have had. They are calling it their evidence book, which I love, and I invite you to do this, is grab a little notebook, or it could be sticky notes, whatever you want, and you can put it on your counter. And every time you have a joyful moment, every time you have a playful moment where you were genuinely enjoying being with your kids, or maybe you yelled, but then you stopped and paused and turned it into a playful moment, write it down. Then after a week, go back and reflect. This mom read through her evidence book to me. I was in tears. And what they were doing, and I started geeking out, is they were activating their reticular activation system, because that's the part it's in our brain stem. It's all these neurons. It's constantly seeking out evidence, constantly looking for evidence to support whatever belief that we have. And so when this is hard, this sucks, this is going to be our life forever, our brains go out and look for evidence to support that. It's also called cognitive bias. We have an opportunity to go, hey, I'm going to focus on what is going well. This isn't going to last forever. This is just a season. And then we start with those thoughts, and then we start seeking and being intentional at looking for that evidence. And then guess what happens? We are able to actually feel that joy. Okay, that is all I have for today on the 5 ingredients on how to, or 5 playful habits, 5 playful things that you can do in order to create a stronger bond with your kids. And the first is to throw those phones in the garbage. So the first one is presence. 2 is flexibility. Get flexible and not be so stringent or hard or controlling, and follow your kids' lead. 3 is curiosity. Go from being the all knowing person to the one who is full of wonder. And 4, acceptance, radical acceptance that your child is who he or she is and they are different than you, and to accept them for who they are and accept yourself for who you are. And 5 is choosing joy. These are all habits. The more you do this, the more you're present, the more you're flexible, the more you're just following your kids' lead and really thinking about how you can insert play in everyday interactions. You won't need to think about it anymore. It will become a habit. It'll just become how you interact with your kids. That is the goal. To start, this might feel very overwhelming because maybe you don't have any of these habits. I invite you to pick one. Which one is the weakest and go from there. Or it might be something that you need to revisit. For me, it is always the darn cell phone. I need to make sure I plug it in away from wherever I am so it's not even visible. But then I end up missing messages. And so I'm dealing with that of like, okay, how do I make sure I communicate with the people who are trying to communicate with me through my phone, that I don't have it on me all the time because I want to be present with my kids. So that is the one I'm working on right now. But maybe it is getting curious. Maybe it's being flexible. A lot of the parents I coach are raising kids who are extremely resistant to rules or have some kind of demand avoidance. Maybe they're neurodivergent, ADHD, autistic, and they have an extremely high need for autonomy and control. And so the only way is to be flexible. So many parents, though, to be flexible with their kids, they feel like they're just letting their kids get away with whatever they want. And that's not a good parent. The reason why they think that is that's the belief that was inherited. But now they have this child who absolutely needs control and autonomy. So, how do we do that but still have healthy boundaries? So, maybe that's one that you need to work on. Or maybe it's choosing joy. You could be a person that always sees the negative lens on things and you realize what that's costing you. It served a purpose at one point, but now you're like, you know what? I want to choose joy. I want to enjoy my life as a mom, sister, aunt, friends, teacher, whatever you are. You want to enjoy your life and all of those roles that you play. And so you are going to choose joy. I hope this episode is helpful. Again, if any of these things you're thinking, oh my gosh, I would really like some guidance on this or someone to hold me accountable as I start to change my own neural connections in my brain and start to rewire some of these patterns, I would love to come alongside you and do that in my Purpose Parent Transformation Program. Again, all you need to do is go to raisingkidswithpurpose.com/chat. Okay, until next time, go raise those kids with purpose.